Okay, if you wish to address the commission tonight, make sure you sign up at the sign-up sheet on the podium.
Not yet.
Where's the?
Rosemary? You know she. Donald? Oh, I didn't know if you might.
No, I don't know who it is.
Adam says yes.
I think
He thinks.
that gets us in trouble.
Would you go put one
Quite often.
No. Let me look.
This time around. How are you, Mr. Davis? I think I saw you driving in front the other day. Getting off the interstate.
Probably did.
I'm pretty sure it was you. You drive a tractor.
I have a black one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Remember what time I saw it. I'm pretty sure that's exactly. I don't know where I was going. Or what day it was. I just remember seeing it.
Okay, it's 3 minutes. Let me get the sign-up sheet.
No. It is. I think it's on.
Yeah. It is. Speak up, buddy.
What are you, Mayor?
Here's your sheet.
Hey. That'd be good. Yeah, thanks. Show up.
All right. Yeah, take that out. Yep.
This time we'll call the Loudon County Commission meeting, Tuesday, September the 5th, 2023 to order. This time I will open up the floor for nominations for chairman for the 23-24 session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate our current chairman to continue as chairman. That'd be Henry Cullen.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cole. Is there any further nominations?
Motion to close nominations?
Have a motion to close nominations. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
Okay,
Congratulations.
thank you, buddy. Next up is the nomination for the Loudon County Commission Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we continue to have Commissioner Satterfield as our vice chair. Even though he's not here, he's a little under the weather tonight, he's said he was fine with taking the position again.
Second.
Okay, we got the motion, second. Move to close the nominations.
Move to close.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Bill's back in Greenback. He's got an unwelcome visitor from China, so we wish him the best. Okay, I've asked Commissioner Quillen to open the meeting with a pledge and a prayer.
Salute the pledge. Let us pray. God, we thank you for this day and this opportunity to serve our community. I pray you would be with us tonight and give us clear hearts and clear heads to make the best decisions to benefit Loudon County. Be with those in our community that protect us, and be with those that are sick or suffering. Especially be with my dad and continue to heal him. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Tammy, call the roll.
Randolph,
Here.
James.
Here.
Jenkins.
Here.
Quillen. Here. Satterfield. Whitfield.
Here.
Cullen.
Here.
Morrison.
Here.
Shaver.
Here.
Waller.
Present.
Next up is the adoption of the September 5th, 2023 Commission Agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as it's printed and was sent to us earlier.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Waller,
No, Whitfield.
Whitfield, sorry, to adopt the commission agenda as written. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up is the reading and acceptance of the August 21st, 2023 Loudon County Commission minutes.
Make the motion, we approve the minutes that were sent to us earlier, and I'm confident everyone read through them clearly.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Quillen. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. General public comments. First up is Donna Monroe.
Hello. I have to say, I'm both mad and disappointed at the way county officials have handled animal abuse and neglect on Norwood Street in Lenore City. 13 to 14 dogs in a crowded pen. Their shelter is a tarp. These dogs are lying, standing, and living in their accumulated waste. They get minimal food and water, no proof of rabies vaccination. You can see their ribs. They look sick, lethargic, and ill-treated. The animal shelter did take pictures of the dead puppies that were thrown across the fence for disposal. And then they drove off into the sunset, never to be seen or heard from again. This guy keeps being told to comply with animal welfare laws. He has been cited for animal cruelty before, and he cares nothing for these animals. These dogs can't fight for themselves. It's up to us to do the decent thing. Nothing about the upkeep of these dogs complies with the Tennessee animal welfare laws. In the last 2 months, 2 different teams of officers have been sent, and everybody's letting him get away with it. He was told to build houses. He put up a tarp in 100-degree weather. These dogs are starving. The last group of police officers that were sent to his house patted him on the shoulder, shook his hand, and left. We haven't heard from him since. We have had one commissioner step up to do anything about this. And as much as we appreciate the effort, one person trying to help these dogs is not enough. So I would very much like anyone and everyone who can help these dogs. And trust me, I've sent enough emails, so the county mayor and the sheriff should know exactly who I'm talking about. Some of the commissioners do also. And something needs to be done with this before these dogs starve to death or they die of disease. And that is really all I have to say. Thank you.
Where are these dogs?
They are at 146 Norwood Street.
We have been, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
And you're a driving force, and I would want you on my team anytime.
I will take it.
But
You are wonderful.
Well, we have tried and tried to get help for the dogs. The sheriff's department has been out there, animal control, I've called them. But anytime they go, supposedly there's nothing that they can do. So I don't know how to further investigate this when they're not coming up with a cause to remove the dogs, other than just knocking on his door and saying, please let us have your dogs. So,
Didn't they actually go in with a warrant to inspect?
Yes.
They got a warrant to inspect.
they did, and I think they went back last Friday or Friday.
Last Friday was
Friday.
the last time. I don't know what was said. I know they gave him yet more time, and I kind of wondered how much time does it take? The new law that went into effect on July 1st that Governor Lee signed, each and every dog has to have its own shelter with enough room to stand and sit comfortably. Each and every dog has to have access to food and water. It has to have a solid floor surface, have bedding in the winter, they have to be kept cool in the summer. He hung new tarps. And the fence is so high, and he's let vegetation grow up so high that you can't see the dogs in there now. And they've got to be dying. Because of those tarps and all that vegetation, they can't breathe. And as far as for disposing of dead puppies across the fence, and animal control took pictures and said, I will report this to our supervisor. We've not seen them, we've not heard from them, but I don't expect a whole lot from animal control. They've never helped us before. And this guy has a long history of animal abuse. I've cleaned up 2 of his messes. I don't want to have to clean up 13 dogs after him. Because I go to sleep at night and I'm thinking about these dogs. And that just shouldn't happen.
What is the protocol for animal control? Can we ask them to go back and look again, or how do we?
We can, we've been working with the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
State of Tennessee, dogs are property. You can't go in and take the dogs anymore. You can go in and take a TV or a vehicle or anything else. I thought that this gentleman had actually sold at least a portion of the dogs.
He had before, he was selling them at Tractor Supply.
As right, I thought it was recently as last week he had sold some.
Now that I don't know about. But I do know that the state of Tennessee states that if you have a ½ acre to a ¼ acre, you are allowed 4 dogs on your property over 6 months old, unless you have a breeder's license. These dogs, I would bet the farm they haven't even had shots. I know he hasn't had a breeder's license.
And our animal control is not a part of the sheriff's department. We can't enforce, we can issue citations, we can impound. As far as seizure, all that has to come through the proper channels. And like I said, I talked to the director of the animal shelter Thursday or Friday last week, and I thought the gentleman had sold most, if not all, of the animals. So I'll follow up again and see.
Please do, because I'm telling you, I can't sleep, I'm a wreck. I would love to know what's gonna happen to these animals. And if they are seized, I have a place to take them. It doesn't have to be on county dime. I can find homes for these dogs.
Well, right now, we are 4 people short of our animal control as well. We've got 4 openings. They're absolutely running emergencies first and doing everything that they can.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't work for Miracle Nichols either. We have had it out with her for the last 14 years over these dogs.
Well, okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Anklin.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm here tonight as a follow-up to last month's speech that I gave you regarding Ms. Hunter. I gave you reasons why I felt that she was an asset to the Loudon County Solid Waste Commission meeting, ongoing, and it has many things to offer. So, this week, today, I want to take you back to 2020, when this group, that side of the podium, he tried to remove a previous commissioner off that committee, Steve Field. There were some letters written. One of them was to get an opinion from the county technical service. Was procured August 21st, 2020. One of them was our county lawyer, August 26th. And the third one was the follow-up from our lawyer to Senator McNally to the state's AG. All three of these pieces of paper say you do not have the ability to remove the sitting commissioner. Not with a resolution, not with a trumped up charge. If you want to remove somebody, there is a physical process. It involves the district attorney. So I'm saying that whatever you're planning on doing tonight is not going to hold water because you haven't got a TCA that allows you to do it. It was in-depth studies. And you got 3 different opinions coming back and saying you can't do it. At least not by resolution, not by vote if you can. From that side over, they were involved in 2020. They were involved in 2022. None of us objected to shutting down the previous commission because of the lousy contract we got. We still have that lousy contract, and changing Pat out of that is not gonna change a damn thing. There were 4 commissioners put on that committee last summer, this month. Their sole purpose was to come in there and help get that changed. Nothing came of it. The mess that Pat was left when she was made chairman covered a lot of different things. She uncovered, fixed, and got corrected those items. Now, Mr. Randolph, you say there are 2 people on the commission that just doesn't want to work with her or can't work with her. I think those 2 people should be right here at this podium telling you all why that can't be done. And in these opinions, innuendo, or how do you want to say it, you don't like the way they talk, dress, or walk, it's not grounds for removing anybody. There's very specific issues that have to be addressed, none of which she's ever violated, my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, and there's not one of you up there that is. So I want to enter these 3 documents into the record because they were sent to that side of this podium in 2020. Any objection to that, Mr. Chairman? So I'm going to be very interested to see how you all deal with this later tonight. Your 3 opinions distributed to this commission in 2020. Thank you.
Bud Guider. There he is.
Thanks for the opportunity to come back once again. I was here a month or so ago. I assure you, I'm not here to play an antagonistic role toward this commission. My topic is the same, gun reform. I had a couple other things that came to my mind, and I just felt like I needed to follow up on that discussion from last month. And so that's why I'm here once again. As everyone is aware, the special session for safety is completed this past week. Not a whole lot was accomplished, particularly really nothing was accomplished in gun reform of any significance anyhow. And we know that the commission sent a resolution to the governor opposing the special session. The governor had, as part of that special session, in regards to gun reform, he was going to propose a bill, an extreme risk protection order. Unfortunately, that bill never got to the floor in the special session. It wasn't on the agenda, was never discussed, and it was never voted on. That protection order basically was a plan that would remove guns from the possession of people who had been deemed a threat to themselves or others. And a quote from the governor prior to the special session, originally back in May, is that we all agree that dangerous, unstable individuals who intend to harm themselves or others should not have weapons. That should be done in a way that requires due process, a high burden of proof, supports law enforcement, punishes false reporting, enhances mental health, and preserves the Second Amendment. Again, unfortunately, that never got to the special session. What I wanted to clarify here tonight that I don't think I did last time was, how are these people deemed a threat to themselves or society? What's the process? And the bill or the law says that the process would be that an individual might identify a person, and that individual could be a relative, a friend, a neighbor, a co-worker, whoever. And if anybody in this room or on the commission saw or knew a person who might be a threat to themselves or to others, the process would be for them to contact local law enforcement. Law enforcement would investigate their concern, and if they too agreed that that person was a danger to society, then they could make arrangements for it to go through a court of law, and a judge would determine the outcome. If the judge decided that that person also was agreed that that person was a threat to society or themselves, then he could make arrangements to have that person's weapons removed temporarily only, no more than 6 months, while that person was evaluated and a decision was made at some point whether he was fit to or stable enough to have his or her weapons back. And it was a 3-tier process, so it wasn't just one person. It was a citizen in the community, contact law enforcement, either agree or disagree with it. If they disagreed, it would stop right there. If they agreed, then it would go on to a court of law. So that was kind of the basic premise of the gun reform issue that was supposed to be discussed at the special session. I asked the commission to maybe rethink that, rethink their vote. I got quite a long period of silence after I was here. And I thank you, Commissioner Shaver, for breaking that silence and at least making some comments on that. However, when you said if you had to vote on it again, that you would vote the same way, and I asked you why. And you said because you didn't trust government and you didn't trust judges. So I'm hoping that after you hear how that process works, and how everybody hears how that process works, and it's too late to do anything now, but maybe in the future it might come up again. Maybe not. But with that three-tier process, I would ask that question again. Who would you trust? Who would you trust the most? That three-tier process of three individuals or groups of individuals that had deemed somebody was a threat to society, and a judge had finally made that decision, or that unstable person, possibly mentally ill, with the potential of obtaining at any point in time an assault rifle. Who would you trust? I'll ask you that question again, Commissioner Shaver. Knowing that process, who would you
What's an
trust?
assault rifle? Clear me up on, what's an assault rifle? Clear me up on that.
Well, I don't know that I have a definition.
But you said it.
Well, I did. A weapon that would cause more damage when fired than conventional weapons. A weapon that would blow a kid's head off,
That's almost any weapon.
as opposed to a handgun that would. So who would you trust?
They're all about in the same category to me, Doc. It's the determination of who the mentally ill person is. We kinda went through this last time.
Well, we didn't go through the process. This goes straight to the judge. It goes through three different tiers and three different sets of people come to the same conclusion. So it's not all the judge's decision. So law enforcement and it's some individual in the community. And if everybody agrees, then it's done, and only then. So I won't put you on the spot any more than that, but I think that's food for thought. The other thing
Can I ask you something? You're a
Yes, ma'am.
medical doctor. Would you not think a mental health expert should be evaluating someone for their mental capacity instead of a policeman and someone else in the community and a judge?
I think that's a very good point. And as a result of the weapons being removed, that person would be evaluated by a mental health person, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatnot. And then at which point that medical profession would determine it was safe for them to retain the
That would be
weapons.
after the
That
three-tier
would be after the
process.
process.
Yeah.
Now, I understand what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
a good point. It's a good point that maybe it ought to be the other way around. Maybe the mental health person ought to be in there first. And I've thought of that very thing. Maybe that person ought to be, if he's deemed unsafe to society, they ought to put him, we ought to have a law that says you put him in a psychiatric hospital for 3 days, have him evaluated, and then make a decision. I don't know. But I think the bottom line is that, at the very least, a simple common sense thing would be that a person like that should not have access to weapons at least until they're evaluated to the point that somebody decides it's okay for them to have weapons. That was my point. The other point I wanted to make, and I didn't think of it last time, is that, the last time I was here, there were 3 people on the commission that responded and, gave their opinion. It's my understanding that elected officials across the board, at whatever level, and certainly county commissioners would be included, as a general rule, should vote based on the opinions of the majority of their constituents. Don't think anybody would argue with that. Poll after poll after poll after poll in the state of Tennessee, across the state of Tennessee, including East Tennessee, have shown that the majority of Tennesseans favor basic, common sense gun reform laws. Specifically, this particular extreme risk protection. When asked in polls, do you favor that? Every poll has been somewhere between 75 and 83% of Tennesseans favor that. So I think, and I know that when y'all made that decision last time, it was a quick decision, it was a quick vote, the thing was coming up, people didn't realize it was, the special session at that time was scheduled for 1st of May or something like that. It's coming up in the next few days, and you had to make a quick vote on it, you didn't have time to do much. But shortly after that, a day or 2 after that, the special session was canceled, postponed, rescheduled for the end of August. So there were 3 additional months to think about that. And certainly enough time for the commission to go out into the community, talk to their constituents, get the opinion of the community, and then bring it back and think about revoting it. Again, water under the bridge at this point, but I guess my point is this, and I have great respect for all of you guys. You guys do a great job for the community. But I want you to just think about this, is that in the future, when you vote on any topic, not gun reform, but just any basic topic, try to vote the will of the people, the opinion of the majority of your constituents, and not your personal opinions. And I think this vote on this gun reform thing to not, to oppose the special session, a more personal decision, personal opinion vote, rather than based on these polls across the state of Tennessee, rather than a vote based on the will of the people. So that's I would ask that you think about that. And I know you do. And I know you go out and do things. But, and if you don't know what the opinion of the general population of your constituents, put it on hold till you do know. And then bring it back and vote at that point. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Driver.
Michelle Fritz.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Harris Fritz, and I'm here to address my concerns regarding the conduct of this commission and the Solid Waste Commission based upon my observations as a citizen. I have been extremely concerned about the conduct of several members of both commissions in regards to the treatment of other commissioners and private citizens. In particular, Commissioner Shaver's comments about Lisa Niles, Tammy Bivens, Kelly Brewster, Amber Scott, Jack Qualls, the entire EPA agency, and now Pat Hunter, per tonight's agenda item 8B. Commissioner Shaver has provided no information or grounds for her removal from either commission. Recent posts on his website as a representative of this commission include accusing local politicians as being communist sympathizers and the benefits of vaping. When is this commission going to put a stop to these witch hunts. It is my opinion that Mr. Waller needs all the help that he can get, and removing Mrs. Hunter will not help the situation. It is apparent that he is lost. Mrs. Hunter brings to the commission a knowledge that not only serves a basic understanding of the contract and the issues related. For example, it was purported that sludge was being brought into our landfill by Anderson County by Rich Anklin and Pat Hunter. The dollar amount of this sludge represented was sizable, and yet when the operator's representative stated that the line item was a typo, he provided no proof to back up this claim, and it was generally accepted as a fact by the other commissioners. The other commissioners had no idea that prior authorization was required in order to do so. The landfill gate was left unlocked recently over a weekend. A local citizen called and reported that that gate was left open to both Commissioner Waller and Vice Chairman Hall. Neither one contacted the operator to close the gate. Vice Chairman Hall said that he simply forgot. Who forgets that? In addition, the operator appeared to be overcharging for weight plus an additional mattress fee that they were not allowed to charge per previous agreement between Santec and the Solid Waste Commission. No one except Mrs. Hunter knew that, and she most certainly did not forget it. She called them out at the meeting, not Chairman Waller and not the Vice Chair, Mrs. Hunter. I sleep better at night knowing that Commissioner Hunter is on the LCSWDC as an advocate for the county taxpayers and for the truth. LCSWDC Chairman Adam Waller has not been transparent with the other commissioners nor the public. He has repeatedly ignored my records request in regards to date and time stamped photos. In fact, I filed an ethics complaint in regards to the manner in which the Part 1 permit was approved. Chairman Waller presented a copy of the Part 1 permit with the names of two commissioners, Cullen and Satterfield, who had resigned from the commission. Commissioner Hunter was the only one to point that out, and the only one who refused to vote in favor of approving the application based upon incorrect information. But the lack of transparency gets worse and more apparent when I requested a copy of the signed and approved Part 1 application, which I had requested from the state of Tennessee. Only discovered that different names were submitted without the knowledge of the public, nor of the commission. Mrs. Ross had not been approved by the city council prior to the vote, and Mr. Bush had not been elected as secretary at the time the document had been prepared and presented. The ethics complaint was dismissed based upon the illegal opinion of Attorney Kyle Baisley, who should have recused himself as he represents this commission, including Commissioner Waller and Commissioner Satterfield. Commissioner Satterfield was named in my ethics complaint as he voted on a solid waste issue with the knowledge that he was out of turn. Yet he refused to recuse himself as a member of the ethics committee from my hearing. He was mentioned in the complaint, yet he was the one that made the motion to dismiss the case. Seriously. It is my plan to refile this ethics complaint. However, we first must address this picture that I found of Mr. Baisley, on Mr. Baisley, not of Mr. Baisley. I found this picture on Mr. Baisley's Facebook page. And I have to go forward with confidence that you all have seen this.
Mr. Chairman, she needs to address commission.
Bring it here.
I do not know who is in this picture. What I do know is that it was a picture taken in 2007, and it appears to be two white males dressed in blackface and women's clothing. It was still proudly displayed on Mr. Paisley's photo profile on Facebook until last week, when his Facebook page could no longer be found. The attorney that you hired to represent the citizens of this county to litigate a lawsuit against the city or to render a legal opinion on ethics has no problem with this picture displayed on his Facebook page. Apparently, it appears for 16 years. In my opinion, this questionable lack of ethics gives me pause in regards to any legal action on behalf of the county taken by him. Why is Commissioner Shaver not leading the charge to fire him when he was the one who led the charge to hire him? During the last workshop, when questioned about the commission's power to remove someone from a committee by another commissioner, Commissioner Shaver stated, we are the ultimate approving body. The power to appoint includes the power to remove. We've done it before, last September. I believe that we, the people, the taxpayers, and the citizens of Loudon County are the ultimate approving body. And that approval and removal is accomplished in the voting booth. Finally, I wish to caution the commission not to follow the lead of any commissioner without doing your own homework. Commissioner Shaver repeatedly states that Loudon County has the lowest tax rate in the state of Tennessee. Recently, I've heard some of you parrot that statement in public venues. His statement is simply not true. There are other counties that have a lower base rate than Loudon County. So when you repeat that to the taxpayers of this county, you're repeating a non-truth. Now, I have much more to say, but I'm not going to say it tonight. I'll be back another day. Thank you.
Thank you. Monty Ross.
I'm just gonna get right to this reading, sorry. But last month, there was on the agenda at the commission workshop, the issue of the county commission dismissing Pat Hunter from the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission. I want to thank Commissioner Quillen for asking if there was another process besides removal by the commission. Thank you for asking that. I referred to the situation for the people serving the county on commissions or committees as sort of Damocles, hanging over the heads of people chosen to serve. Even if all Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission were doing a very good job, but were not liked, or worse, were not doing what members of this commission wanted them to do, our positions would be jeopardized. I first contacted Kim Rea, environmental consultant, University of Tennessee, Institute for Public Service at the County Technical Assistance Service, or CTAS. She contacted the CTAS attorney who responded, and this is what the same thing that Mr. Ockman found. The power to confirm an appointment does not generally include the power to remove an appointee or rescind the appointment, but their recommendation was to go back to me, was to go back to the original document that formed the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission. So I did that. Here I will quote 3 critical excerpts from the amended and restated Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Agreement, and this was between the 3 stakeholders. The first excerpt: this agreement made and entered into effect the first day of March 1993 by and between the County of Loudon, the City of Lenoir City, and the City of Loudon, all political subdivisions of the state of Tennessee. The second excerpt, just above the signatures of the responsible parties, it says, "In witness whereof the duly elected officers of the parties hereto, pursuant to approval from the respective governing bodies, have hereunto set their signatures of each political subdivision, the said agreement to be effective the day and date first above written," which is, that's the March 1st, 1993 date. This statement puts the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission squarely under the jurisdiction of the Solid Waste Management Act of 1991, which by state law outlines a comprehensive process for dealing with Tennessee's municipal solid waste on a regional basis. Because there is no mention in the agreement or in the bylaws of the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission of how a member of this commission can be removed, how to do so by state law fills that gap. The Tennessee Code 68-211-905, which describes how the duties of the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission shall be carried out, states, any member appointed to the board may, for reasonable cause, be removed from such member's office, or the synonym for that is position, in the same manner by the same governing body as such member was appointed to the office, provided that such removal shall be preceded by a full hearing by the remaining members of the board, and that is referring to the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission. After adequate notice of such hearing, and a report of such hearing shall be forwarded to such appointing authority. The third excerpt is from the Interagency Amended and Restated Agreement under the establishment of the Commission, referring to the appointments of the Loudon County Solid Waste Division Commissioners. 5 shall be appointed by the county executive or the county mayor and approved by the county commission. In keeping with the statement in the law, in the same manner by which the same governing body, the county mayor, who appointed Pat, would have to initiate a full hearing by the remaining members of the board, the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission, after adequate notice of such hearing. At the workshop, Commissioner Randolph said 2 members told him Ms. Hunter was unreasonable, and if she wasn't dismissed, they would resign. The hearing, required by law, would allow an adult discussion between the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commissioners, and a determination would be made by the entire commission. The result of this hearing would be reported by law to the mayor and county commission. Such a hearing would also involve the representatives of the other 2 stakeholders regarding a dismissal. Each time chaotic disruptions occur by one stakeholder, the other 2 have a stake in the potential disruption of the very serious work of the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission, and should have a voice through their appointees. Last month, Commissioner Shaver referred to the ultimate appointing body, which starts with the mayor. He then reminded the county commission that last year they removed every member of the Loudon County Solid Waste Disposal Commission except Hunter. Basically, this was contrary to state law. The guidance to do that might have been followed unknowingly by several commissioners at the time, but now, if this request by Commissioner Shaver is followed, the county commission would be knowingly and willfully violating state law. You each took an oath solemnly swearing that you will perform with fidelity the duties of the office to which you were elected and which you assumed, and you swore to support the constitutions of Tennessee and the United States, to faithfully perform the duties of the county commissioner. Of course, you could proceed tonight with the vote for Pat's removal and see if there was litigation against this action. But such action would say to your constituents that you had no respect for the rule of law, which is what this country is all about. So, Commissioner Quillen, there is a lawful process for this action. It is TC 68-211-905, and I hope this county commission, if they decide to proceed, chooses to follow that law. Thank you.
Jim Shirkus.
Sherskis. Hi, my name is Jim Sherskis. I reside in Telecom Village. I'm here to support Pat Hunter. I believe she is qualified to serve on both the Records Commission and the Solid Waste Commission. In my opinion, she works hard for the citizens of Loudon County. I base this belief on discussing issues with her, conversations with other Loudon County taxpayers, reporting by the local weekly newspaper, as well as personal observations at the occasional sub-level county commission meetings I have attended. At the prior workshop, when the topic of her removal from the 2 commissions came up, apparently an issue with one of the solid waste commissioners was she was too slow. I may have misheard that. I find that really amusing. During my work career, after leaving the Air Force, I was an industrial engineer with AMP Incorporated for 22 years. At the time, the world's largest manufacturer of electrical connectors. I worked with people from the factory floor to upper mid-management on manufacturing and inventory issues. After they were bought out, I spent 15 years as a financial analyst with the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission in the division that dealt with energy, telephone, water, and wastewater. Two radically different environments. Fast in the government is still slow in the private sector. Maybe the fastest in the government is a 3 out of 10, based upon my comparison of the environments. So the argument that she is slow is an extremely lame one to me. So where is the answer? I have lived here since July 2015. I have noticed the extreme lack of representation by women in total on the county commission, the 2 school boards, the city councils of Loudon and Lenore City, the Tellico Village POA, etc. In my opinion, your problem with Ms. Hunter is that she is a woman, period.
Thank you. Susan Gingrich.
Good evening. My name is Susan E. Gingrich, and I am both a Loudon County taxpayer and an activist for good government. Since moving here in 2015, after a long career working in government and the private industry, I've addressed this body numerous times, and I've also written about this county government, which I call the dark state of Loudon County government. Some of my comments and writings about it were very serious, some scary, and some funny. I truly believe that if this county government was a business, it would be a failing business. The stockholders would have removed the bullying CEO, the board members, and other executives who fearfully or foolishly followed him. There would be an exhausting forensic audit to determine all the secrets and exactly how the company's money was being spent. If laws were broken, some would be prosecuted. My first commission meeting reminded me somewhat of the Wild West, lacking the structure and formality I was used to in government. Guns on sight, an elected official vaping, and another one chewing tobacco and spitting in a plastic cup instead of a spittoon. I'm working on an outline right now for an Old West satire piece called Shavertown, about a town run by a bully and his cohorts, complete with a town council composed of all men, of course, and a very good, caring town sheriff. But back to reality. My commissioner, who has disrespected me and even threatened me, represents Shaver better than he represents me. I must admit that being threatened by my elected representative was a first. Of course, I never voted for him, and I never would, and perhaps that's the problem. I did run against him for county commission because I thought the taxpayers of Loudon County and Tellico Village deserved much better. I've spoken many times about the treatment of women by certain county officials, and personally I've experienced bullying, disrespect, and threats from several of them. No woman experienced this type of treatment more than Pat Hunter, whom Commissioner Shaver desires to remove from commission positions, which he claims he put her in. Amazing the power one man has, and in my opinion, he pretty much runs this county. As a born-again Christian, I am called to confront evil, and evil is present at commission meetings. Last Wednesday, there was an article in the News Herald about the workshop titled, "Commission Discusses Resolution for EDA," subtitled, "Pat Hunter Considered for Removal from Solid Waste Public Records." If you haven't read it, I'm told that Commissioner Shaver has put it on his gossip website. There was no evidence produced for removing Pat Hunter from her appointments, only Commissioner Randolph stating he had 2 complaints about her from members of the Solid Waste Commission. Hearsay from anonymous sources, but not evidence. Apparently, after the workshop ended, he told the reporter that the 2 unnamed members told him that Hunter was unreasonable and that they no longer wanted to work with her. I suspect these 2 male members were part of the probably illegal coup, also involving a few county commissioners, including my own, removing Pat Hunter as chairman of the Solid Waste Commission and filling all the elected positions with men. There are so many flaws and inconsistencies with how this governmental body operates that it's hard to keep the limited information that is shared with the public straight. I'll ask you, concerning removing Ms. Hunter from her assigned commissions, I'll ask you voting what I asked Commissioner Randolph at the POA Governmental Forum last Wednesday. He didn't answer, but perhaps you will. Do you believe that following the law, a commission's own policies and procedures, and monitoring a contract correctly to ensure that it is followed and taxpayers get what they deserve is unreasonable? If your answer is no, then vote against removing Pat Hunter from the commissions. If you vote to remove her, once again, you are siding with Commissioner Shaver and acting not in the best interest of all county taxpayers. Thank you.
Pat Hunter.
My name is Pat Hunter, and I'm here to address 2 items on the agenda. The first item is under Commissioner Shaver, consideration of a resolution pertaining to the Loudon County Economic Development Agency. I attended the EDA Review Committee meeting, and I was quite impressed that Councilman Cardwell had done his homework and brought some very important information to our attention. In his review of the PC 1101 and the respective PCA's law, he shared information that would basically say that if a commission withdraws, as they did, gave their notice in 2025, that there would still have to be funding for a mechanism of the Economic Development Agency of some sort. It would then reduce the number of representatives County Commission has currently from 2 to 1, and that the funding would still have to stay in place, except that it would be increased from 68.9% to 70%. So I don't see this as a win-win for the county, certainly not for the taxpayers. We will be paying more. The other thing that was mentioned was that Mr. Qualls did not answer questions from commission when he came to speak. From my best recollection is that he came on about a certain subject matter, and then he was being asked about other things. From my perspective, I didn't see it as a Q&A or an opportunity for him to address something that he had been asked to, prepare and bring to county commission, I saw it more as an interrogation. And I felt for him because I thought, he and I haven't always agreed, but he deserves a level of respect. When he did not answer, I believe one of the commissioners said that he was rude. I think that whenever you attack someone in public, that you're going to get someone who isn't going to be, they're going to respond probably the same way, that antagonistic way. So I can sort of understand his response. I think somebody mentioned it was beating up on him. He's a grown man, but on the other hand, he doesn't deserve to be treated like that. I think the mayor also mentioned, Mayor, that you would not be a part of a witch hunt. And I hope that you're not, because no one deserves that. Not Mr. Qualls, not myself, not anyone. We live in a democracy, and we should be able to air our concerns with each other and find a mutual way to address these issues as adults. One thing that was said, and it jogged a memory, that Mr. Qualls had not given or shared a work plan. And that jogged a memory from the budget committee, because at the EDA, during the budget process, the EDA budget was discussed, and I remember to go look at my book, and also I contacted Mr. Qualls, and he did send the budget, he sent an email, and he did include the work plan. So I understand when you have a lot of paperwork that comes your way, a lot of emails, that it would be easy to forget, but he did send it. The other thing is, if you're going to withdraw, I don't understand the resolution, because now you're backing up and saying, well, we're gonna withdraw from funding you, but on the other hand, we're going to say what we're going to do. And that's contrary to what your withdrawal letter says. So I think that, I hope your attorney, county attorney, has looked at that, because I think you can't, in my opinion, you can't do something when it involves two other stakeholders. They're part of this process, whether you like them or not. And now I'm going to get to consideration of removing me from the Solid Waste and Public Records Commission. I've been accused of a lot of things. First of all, I was not contacted to be told who are my accusers, what they said that I did or didn't do. So I think that I have a right to know who they are, what they said, so I can address it. I think that if going to one commissioner and doing it in a backhanded way, that's exactly what it is. They're not men, they're just cowards, in my opinion. You just say it and put it all out there and address it. The county mayor, he appointed me. Remember, Mayor? Mm-hmm. You did. And I had a conversation with him early on that if he was not happy with me, to tell me, and I would resign. You remember that?
I think I do.
Yes. So, we've always had an open relationship, and he told me that he would tell me. I don't think I've done anything wrong other than to do my job. On the Public Records Commission, I was accused of not holding meetings. We had a meeting in July, we were going to, it was noticed July 22nd, but the meeting was canceled by Commissioner Adam Waller. I felt at the time that since we had noticed it, that we should go to the county office building and at least greet the public, because there wasn't a notice that gave them adequate notice they were there. Putting it on the door the same day is too little too late. So Mr. Steele and I went, and we had four citizens show up, and the mayor dropped in on us. So that was the first meeting. We had one on September the 24th, 2019. It was advertised, and the meeting was held. We had another one on November 14th, 2019. That meeting was held and advertised. In 2020, it was a very bad year. It was COVID. We had a meeting that was advertised, but it was canceled because of a lack of a quorum. It was COVID and no one wanted to be out. The same thing with March 19th and September 24th. So that particular year, we tried, but we did not succeed in having our meetings. In 2021, we had meetings on November 16th, December 9th. In 2022, we had November 15th, November 29th, and in 2023, January 5, January 26. So the fact that that was being said about me was absolutely false. It was just a blatant, patent lie. The other thing is about the Solid Waste Commission, we have some really tough issues. And I'm not going to kid myself, I do not, Mr. Waller has a tough job to do. I had it for several months, and he needs help. And if we can help him in any way, shape, or form, even if I'm not there, he needs help. Because we're dealing with a titan. We're dealing with a company that knows their stuff. And it can be overwhelming at times. Right now, they're in a big lawsuit in Middle Tennessee. And if this company does not get their expansion, they serve a third of the counties in the state. So if they don't get their expansion, what I worry about is the fact that our little landfill that is going to expand, that it may become a mega dump. Now, why should I care? I live in Lenore City. I have city water, but, it will also affect the people who live in Philadelphia and in Paint Rock, because guess what? We have underground aquifers that travel in that direction. So it's all downstream. There are other issues also. The gate being unlocked all weekend. That represented a huge liability for this county, huge. What about if somebody went in there and dumped something that they shouldn't have? This has been brought to their attention before. I wanted to put up cameras, nobody wanted to do that. Now, I don't understand why, because the contract says they are to supply security 24 hours a day, 365 days. So that means that this is on them. We deserve security. The other issue is about the mattresses. Back in September of 2021, it was decided that we were going to charge $20 per fee for mattresses, box springs. I'm gonna admit, I did something stupid, I voted for it. The understanding was that it would be counted as MSW. So what that means is that it would be charged for the tonnage rather than the actual mattress. So in July, they charged the respective stakeholders, the two cities and the county, close to $1,000 for these mattresses, when in fact they were paying the MSW, which was the weight. So in essence, we were double charged. I suggested that we get a refund, a credit, and I think Commissioner Waller said, from this point on, they won't do it. That's not good enough. They charged us for something that we shouldn't be charged, and the respective stakeholders should be getting a refund. I am meticulous about getting things done. I want it done by the book. I don't want to cut corners. I think I got on Commissioner Shaver's bad side when I was on the Public Records Commission. He came to the facility, and I think he was upset about an article that said that we had over 1,100 boxes, which we did. But they all had to be inventoried as per state law. We're required to use the retention schedule and fill out inventory forms. And we sent letters, do you remember, Mayor Bradshaw? When we sent letters to all the office holders, we added that into the minutes. And we tried to very nicely get them to urge them to do their inventory. Some of them did, and some did not. But it was the responsibility of the respective office holders, who are the true custodians of the records, to do it. I had copied several retention schedules, and Mr. Shaver wanted to do it his way. He wanted to just mark trash on the box and not inventory the records. Well, I do stuff by the book. So he wasn't real happy with that. I can understand. However, we have to obey the law. We have to do it. If the state tells us that we're supposed to do this in order to dispose of records, we have to do it. That's all there is to it. There were some records that were not obsolete. They were not temporary. They were permanent. They were, I don't know how the vote ended up, but my understanding is that they voted to approve the authorization of the obsolete records, but it isn't obsolete if it's a permanent record that we're required to keep. And just because it's computer generated, if it's a specific year and we don't have it in microfiche or microfilm or digitized, it is a permanent record. I have no idea where these records have disappeared to. Mr. Waller, Mr. Shaver took them. There were boxes of court tapes. My understanding is that only a judge could sign off on this. I don't know what happened to those. I don't know if we followed the law and did that. The tax book, it's permanent. We have to keep it. That's all there is to it. The insurance is willing to clean it. We should clean it and have it for view. The other thing is, same thing with the 1973 tax roll book. There are records that have to be permanently kept, and I don't know where they are. All I know is that they were taken from the facility. Some of these actually belong to the office holders. Mr. Randolph, are you listening or texting? I don't appreciate it. You're about to throw me off and you're texting.
I'm not texting.
Yes, you are. I've watched you.
Okay. Carry on.
These records were taken. They belong to the office holders. They belong to the office of the Highway Department, the Soil Conservation. One belongs to the Register of Deeds. These are their records. They requested to be cleaned. They have not been cleaned. I don't know the whereabouts of these records. So, at the end of the day, Mr. Shaver would like to remove me. I have worked hard. In the years that I worked on the inventory, I was not paid. I did it because I believe in doing the job and doing it correctly. Mr. Shaver, you said at election time that you represented your constituents and you worked for us. Do you? Do you work for your constituents? Do you represent me?
This is your time to talk. I won't be responding to you.
Well, you did to Dr. Geiger. But anyway, I serve at the pleasure of the mayor. We have already described the process. It's called due process, and if you want to do that, if you do want to remove me, there is a process for it. But please don't do it the way Mr. Shaver wants it done, because you do turn it into a witch hunt. And that's not the kind of message that we want to send people who you ask to serve the community. Thank you.
Okay. Gwen Brown.
I just wanted to just address a little bit about some things in the jails and the treatment of inmates. Just on a medical type of, I guess, a medical type of thing. Looking at Americans with Disabilities Act, one of the things in particular is that when people are arrested, obviously for committing crimes that need to be dealt with, they may also have medical or mental health issues that aren't known. And if a person is under the influence, my suggestion, and it's just a matter, in my opinion, that some change is needed in this protocols, just what I do, systems and protocols, but if they aren't drug screened and you don't know what you're dealing with and they start to go through withdrawals and you don't know what that is from, there needs to be some sort of a medical consult or somebody made aware before this person suffers harm. So I drafted and made a few copies. I didn't know how many people would be here, but just some pointers maybe of some change that could be made just to serve them better. The Americans with Disabilities Act in particular speaks to the issue of people that have opioid use disorder and what is acceptable treatment in a jail. Basically, it says that the jail does not allow incoming inmates to continue taking medications that are prescribed for their opioid use disorder, that it's a violation of the ADA, that they should be allowed to take that. Again, it's just something that's being supervised by a medical professional, not something they're taking illegally. Illegal drugs are a different story. But just on some of those issues, basically, my thought process is that obviously criminal acts require legal actions and consequences, but medical advice is needed as an addition to the process. I think officers and staff need to know what they're working with so that they can do their job without any resulting medical harm to an inmate. So a system and process change, I believe, needs to be implemented for safety. Basically, anyone under the influence of a drug could have a medical issue if they're left to withdraw unassisted. Every new inmate maybe should be drug screened and evaluated for potential withdrawal needs. I think staff probably are, but need to be for sure trained in basic withdrawal issues and know when to seek medical intervention. If any inmate appears to be struggling physically, like they're seizing, vomiting, sweating profusely, those kinds of things, they should be evaluated by a medical professional. So even if you drug screen them, I know people can take substances to help clean up their system, but it's not about proving if they are or aren't under the influence. It's for detecting certain chemicals that might require more intervention because it could be fatal for them to withdraw, even from some prescribed medications. As far as mental health issues, I believe those need attention even in jail. I get it, you're dealing with criminals, but any inmate that's noted to be having irregular or erratic behaviors, talking nonsensically, interacting with things in the air, whatever, they should be evaluated by a medical professional. Efforts can easily be made to like look and see what their background is, their mental health, medical history, like medications that have been prescribed regularly or recently can be accessed by, insurance records or whatever. That's a phone call or two away. I used to work with the state on some of those. You can find a lot out that might be really important to protecting an inmate's safety, even their life perhaps. Some medications cannot just be dropped for days without some severe physical reactions. So, and I just think we all know that stuff happens in jail, stuff happens everywhere, but it shouldn't be acceptable as normal. That's kind of a problem. We think, well, that stuff happens. Just our mindset needs to change so it's not acceptable to just have abuse or neglect or violence in jails. And mindsets don't change without some enforceable process change. So I feel like creating systems and structure for acceptable interactions, including any urgent preventative medical and mental health care, and then articulating the expectations and consequences for noncompliance would be a must in the jails. And I know everybody does a lot of good work. It's just that there are things that happen that could result in physical harm, and I just feel like that would be something for a topic of implementing some change. I've got a few copies of this little outline that I did, if anyone wants that, just to summarize it. Perfect.
Have you discussed this with the jail,
I have
Dusty
not,
Langley or Jimmy Davis?
I have not particularly,
Okay.
so I don't know who else wanted them. Yes, please. It's just, thank you, my little opinion.
Okay.
All right, thanks. I don't know if anybody else. Sorry, I only made 4 copies. I didn't know how many people I was dealing with.
Tammy, will you send those out to everyone, please?
Oh, well.
Brittany, and I can't read your last name, Brittany.
What's your last name?
It's Kinzer. Katie Kinzer?
K-I-N-S-E-R?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mhm. And I'm just here to address, to make sure that inmates in Loudon County Jail do get proper scanning, proper treatment, especially if they have any type of critical illness such as diabetes, heart conditions, seizures, something that could be fatal from them having to stay in there to even possibly wait for an arraignment. So we do need to make sure that they are being properly taken care of. And that's my purpose of being here tonight.
I'm gonna ask the mayor if he would take that up with Dusty or Jimmy.
I'm gonna, like I said, when Tammy sends those out, I'll be happy to forward all this along, absolutely.
Absolutely, thank you, sir.
Teresa King.
Jennifer, can we tell the story 1 minute? Oh, yeah, she didn't quite finish, I don't think.
Yes, I do have an example of what has happened at Loudon County Jail. It has been years since I've been in there. I went in 2020. I was there for 3 days, and I was left with no insulin. They gave me 3 units about every 3 to 4 hours. I'm on 120 units a day. Then I also get, there's 2 insulins. People that don't know what diabetes does, you have to have them work together. So with me telling the jail this, they told me that the one would work. I had a very hard time for days after getting out, and I was actually medical OR'd out of the jail. So we just need to make sure, guys, I'm a productive, responsible member of society today, but I may not have made it out of that situation. It was pretty bad. So just thinking back on it, I should have came in here and potentially said something sooner. But we just need to make sure, especially moms, dads, that's somebody's child. It might be an inmate, but it is somebody's kid. And we do need to make sure that we take care of these people while they're in there.
I will assure you, buddy, we'll take that up with Jimmy and Dusty Langley. Teresa King.
Hello, appreciate the opportunity to come before you all. Appreciate the work that you do for your people. And I do believe we have a lot of really good people that represent Loudon County. A lot of you know me as Teresa King, the founder of Beauty for Ashes, Teresa King, the troublemaker. But I'm gonna call it what it is, whether it's city or whether it's county. And because I care about people, I went before Lenore City Board 6 years ago, imploring them to help the homeless, to not just go down and tear down their camps and take their dumpsters and their backhoes, and that was a fact, but it had just recently happened. Multitudes of people that were homeless, their homes were destroyed, their little tents were behind Walmart everywhere with nothing left except to come back down to Walmart and to the Dollar General and everywhere else and steal because they had no money. I implored them to please make a difference. Let's do something. Let's not bring a brewery in. Instead, let's make that a homeless shelter. stood there for 27 minutes. And I'm making this example to tell you how hard we've worked. 27 minutes, I begged them to make a difference in the addiction world. I shared my story of going through 20 years at this point today, so then it would have been 14 years or so. 2 kids in addiction, raised in a Christian conservative home. Good kids. Man, we did it right. I mean, we really thought they did the ball, they did the soccer, they did the church and youth camps, and man, we prayed over them at night, and they just were the best kids, plays piano and sings, and yeah, they're just gonna be great kids. And my daughter at 17 and a half met that wrong boy. And she started missing church, going to pick him up, and then they started missing church, one thing led to another. Here we are, fast forward 20 years later. I've raised 10, still raising her 3 sons. They are 15, 14, and 11. I gave up an extremely lucrative real estate career when the market crashed 13 years ago, because at that time I had a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old, and then another year later or 2, the third one came. So I just completely gave up my career to take care of these babies. Didn't want them in the foster care system. Didn't want to take any money for raising them because they were my family or my babies. I wasn't going to go through the system and use them or abuse that. So now Tessa, our daughter, she helped me open a beautiful program that you all may, I think you all pretty much know about it. I've got a few little brochures I'm gonna pass out. I'll give you one to you. I'll go like with you two a share.
Yes, sure.
And then maybe you look at theirs, you got that. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, excuse me,
There
y'all
you
share
go.
that,
Here.
and then, here, we do the best we
Tammy's
can.
got one of them
Okay.
pictures. Here.
We are Tennessee Department of Corrections approved. We've been open about 5 years in this facility called Beauty for Ashes. And when I told them 6 years ago that we were getting ready in Lenore City to open this program, we really didn't know a lot about what we was doing. We just knew that Mr. Ed Lloyd had a big heart. My buddy, my friend. I worked for Ed, wonderful man, miss him terribly. So I went to him one day and I said, Ed, there's this big facility, Hines Valley Road, the old Church of God. I said, you know, my kids has really been through addiction, and I said, they need help. There's not much help in this county. No help, really, in this county. And with the heart that he had, he spent about $320,000 on this property after some repairs and insurance and taxes and things. And he said, if you get this program up and running, he said, the only thing I want back is $140,000. And you take your time, and he said, just apply for your nonprofit, do whatever you need to do, and down the road, we'll talk about seeing what or if you need to pay back. That's the only agreement we had. Didn't have it on paper. We just verbally agreed to it like it used to be. So we went in there, started throwing mattresses on the floor. But we compelled Lenore City to please help us get this thing started, help us bring more awareness, intervention, and prevention. Prior to that discussion in a meeting that Monday night, I had been to most of those members individually. For 6 months, I had went to several and said, let's build a model. Literally, let's build a model of prevention, intervention, and awareness. Our kids are dying right and left. My kids has been in this mess for so long, and it was more like a, sounds great, that sounds great, good luck. So at the meeting, I got the glares and the stares, like none of their family probably had ever been addicted. I told them, I said, we're not just doing this for me and my family and my children, we're doing it for yours and yours and yours and yours. Still, no real comments. What do you want us to do? I said, well, maybe we could start out by getting a small office here in City Hall. Just a little small area that we can take phone calls, people coming out of jail, people having issues with addiction. We will get them to places we get them now, mission teams, Teen Challenge. There's faith-based programs across this nation that's free. And that's what people need, 8 to 12 months at least to rewire and heal their brain. Addiction is classified as a disease. And instead, it is a stigma. And until it's affected your families, a loved one, a child, a grandchild, whatever, not too much is probably going to change. But it has with mine, and my son has overdosed down to 4 heartbeats a minute, many times. And he plays the piano like Beethoven, sings like Josh Groban. He's sitting right now in Tiptonville Correctional Facility, after we had a major injustice here in this county, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, because you know what? You go against the good old boy system here, they're gonna do this, they're gonna blackball you, blackmark you, and y'all have seen it, it's happened, it's still continuing to happen. We have a very, very thriving program out there. We're not just Tennessee Department of Corrections approved. We are now approaching a 70% success rate. The national average is 2 to 15%. And I can tell you why we've got such a high percentage. We don't charge the $200 a month, and if they can't pay it, we've never turned anybody away. I did not take a paycheck for 2 years, and last year I made $16,000. I went from a $150,000 real estate career to nothing, raising 3 grandbabies, into $16,000 a year. I got a raise this past year, now I'm about $22,000 a year. People used to say, oh, she's just in it for the money. The rumors that got back to me made me sick to my stomach. I need our elected officials to step up in this county for addiction, for mental illness, for our vets. Recently, my daughter Tessa, she's a spokesperson for the CDC now. She's been clean 8 years off street drugs. She helped me open this beautiful program. She was my director. Never in my life have I been so proud of her because she ran it like a rock star. 4'11" and a little Goliath. And for about 2 years, she done amazing. But then she got burned out, started suffering from depression. And she opened up that Pandora's box by smoking marijuana. There's worse things, way worse things. But because she is Teresa King's daughter, the founder of Beauty for Ashes, and she smoked marijuana, she got absolutely crucified by the community. Absolutely crucified. Facebook blasted her. What do you think that did? It just absolutely crushed her more. She's been a recluse ever since. She's been beaten down. She has 9 diagnoses. And I'm going somewhere with this. She takes blood pressure medicine for high blood pressure. She takes a shot every day for a blood clotting disorder that could kill her. She takes Suboxone to manage her pain because she is in severe pain. She's on gabapentin as well, that's prescribed by her doctors. She's on clonazepam, 1 or 2 a day, sometimes 3 if she's very nervous, 1 milligram, tiny milligrams. And she's on occasionally, she'll take Adderall if she just cannot focus or concentrate. She has seizures. She has hepatitis C, but she's too weak to get it treated. I get my women treated. My women go for mental health services through Cherokee and Peninsula. We let them take their mental health meds. We get their teeth fixed through grants. They come in with ragged, terrible, rotten teeth, and they usually leave with false teeth and a beautiful smile and a whole lot of confidence. They take 5 classes while they're with us, a 6-week period through blended recovery, and those classes are domestic violence for 6 weeks, drug and alcohol assessment, parenting classes, PTSD and trauma, and they graduate. So they leave after 8 to 12 months. We house them, we do not allow them to work. But they're 3 classes a day, Bibles, this, and this, Celebrate Recovery, church. We keep them busy. We take them on mission trips. We feed the homeless. We go and take gloves and things like that in the wintertime to the homeless camps. So they see we're either on the streets where they could have been or where they've just come from and they don't want to go back. So because we do mind, body, and spirit, God is the center focus of our program. And then their mental and their dental and their physical. Hepatitis C is getting treated. So they're leaving without STDs, with their teeth fixed, with a sense of, I can do this. We give them jobs throughout the thing. Inside our facility, we make them kitchen manager. They've got to stock and do this, do that, and the other. And when they leave, I can build them a resume. I know this young lady. While she was with me, she was the primary cook in our facility. She was this. I have multitudes of women. I have 3 right now working at Aubrey's. They've been there. One of them's been there 2.5 years, one's been there 1.5 years, and another's been there about 3 months. I've got them working at Malibu Boats. They are productive, tax-paying citizens. They have traded in their drugs of choice. They've traded in their TennCare and food stamps for 401k and vacation packages and restoration with their beautiful children and their families. And most importantly, most of them, salvation. So back to what I need to do. I need to tell you that I would like to see an oversight committee or something for Loudon County Jail. What my family has experienced this past 2 weeks is more than any family should ever go through. And if I've experienced it, I promise you there's thousands more, not just here, but across the nation that experienced it. What is your name? May I ask you, what is your name?
Autumn Ingram.
Ingram, was you at the hospital with Tessa last week? Tessa King?
I don't believe so.
Okay, hallucinating and seizing and all that, no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Similar people, I know what you mean.
Okay. All right, so my daughter Tessa made a bad decision 2.5 weeks ago. She gets tired of asking me for money. She needs disability. She can't follow through with anything to get anything done. Everybody has to remind her of appointments and all these things. She's just so sickly. So she made a bad decision. She's not made in many years. She stole some cat food and a few other small items from Walmart. Had a $101 charge. And they got her also for trespassing, because that happened about 20 years ago when she was in her mess. I couldn't believe it when I got a phone call and found out she was in Loudon County Jail again. I said, oh my, I said, it's a $200 bond, it's $2,000, so $200 with the bondsman. I could have bailed her out real easy. Next day I was scheduled to leave with her 3 boys to fly out for a little quick vacation before school started. They go to a little private school. I said, Tessa, you knew better than that. She don't like to ask me for money, so instead of me cash apping her the money, she just didn't ask. But anyway, I said, you know better, and I'm not gonna bail you out. I'm gonna let you sit down here and think about this, because you've not done anything like this in a very long time. She was crying hysterically. I said, nope, nope, nope. So I sent all of her medicines down there again, blood thinners, blood clotting medicine, all these things. Suboxone alone is such a horrific detox that you feel like flu times 1,000. Gabapentin can be very, very, very hard to come off of. But Klonopin, a benzo, you can die from that one. And alcohol and benzos are the 2 main ones that you can die from very easily. So she's on 4 controlled substances, prescribed by her doctors, sees a therapist. She was doing it right, but she made that bad decision to steal that night. So instead of bailing her out, because I don't do that, I said, you'll sit down there and think about this till we get back from vacation, unless they OR you. So I leave, go on vacation after sending her medicines with her labels down there. And next day or 2 on vacation, I get a message from a friend, shows Tessa has got, instead of a $2,000 bond, she has a $100,000 bond. And I said, why? And apparently, after they got her into the jail and stripped her down, which is humiliating enough, but you know what, we can't be too safe, because too much fentanyl and all these things are getting in our jails, so it's necessary. So they did go ahead and strip her down, change her out, put her little striped suit on or whatever. They booked her in. Now, protocol, from my understanding, is you take all their personal belongings and you store it. Is that not correct? Anybody knows anything about the jail? Is that correct? You're supposed to take it and, put it in their own storage for them to, when they go to jail, then they get it. They set her medicine right here. And I have requested all of the cameras, because there is fixing to be something major that's going to take place. And I implore you all to help me with this, because this is very serious. They left her medicine sitting out, with her sitting right here. Cameras all around. They left the room after completely getting her in there. What is a person going to do that thinks they're fixing to be in there maybe 2-3 days? A friend might come and bail me out for $200. What are they going to do? She reached over and she grabbed a half of a Suboxone, a half of a Klonopin, which is a 0.5 milligram that would not put a baby to sleep. Okay, she took those 2 things in with 6 Tylenol, because she knew she was going to detox hard. And she thought, if I can just take this much in with me, I think I'll make it through if I can get a friend to bail me out. Next day, they seen it on camera. They come in, then they slapped her with 3 new charges. 2, taking in drugs with the intent to sell. That's how crooked and corrupt some of our people are. Intent to sell. She has prescriptions for this. She knows she's going to detox hard, but they got her for those 2 small things, intent to sell. And then the 3rd charge was introducing contraband into the facility. I say that is partly their fault, because they did not follow their own policies and procedures, which means you do not leave anything of their personal items next to them or leave them alone in the room. And now my daughter's facing felony charges. Now let me go on to the worst of this. It just keeps getting better. I don't even know if this is going on until I'm there a few days and I get this message from my friend and I'm flipping out. Got her 3 boys, trying not to show it in front of them because they've been through enough. So
I called down there and I asked the night guard, how's Tessa doing? Tell me what she's been charged with. And he said, oh, she took in half a Suboxone and half a Klonopin. And they called her with them. I was like, oh my gosh, those are her medicines. I thought it was something horrible because it showed that with intent to sell, I thought $100,000 bond. He said, oh, she's okay though, she's doing fine. I said, oh, okay, well, 2 nights later, I checked again, the guard, how's she doing? She's doing fine, she's in her cell. The night before we left Florida to fly home, I called him, I said, can I speak to the nurse? I just got this funny feeling in me, it's just a mom thing. I said, can I please talk to the nurse? Yes. Nurse Candy, she comes to the phone, she said, what can I do? And I said, hey, I'm Tessa King's mom, I just wanted to check in, see how she's doing. She said, oh, she's fine. She said, she's better than she was a few days ago. And I thought, what do you mean by a few days ago? Because remember, I had sent all her meds down there thinking they was giving her all of her medicines the whole time. To come to find out she was getting 0. She was getting absolutely nothing. Not her blood clotting disorder medicine, not her lisinopril for her high blood pressure, not her clonazepam to keep her from going into severe detox, not any Suboxone whatsoever to curb the detox, Adderall, gabapentin, nothing. Remeron, mood stabilizer, antidepressant. You think everybody's gonna be in their right mind through that? So when we get home on Saturday, Monday morning, first thing I put money on the kiosk and the phone so she can call me or message me. And she realizes that I've got something on there and she messages me, and it's on my Facebook page. Y'all are welcome to go look at it from last week. And you couldn't read it, it was garbled up. It was, you could tell she was doing this, or she can't spell, she's illiterate, it's one or the other. She was doing this. Her cousin called me and said, I just got out of jail. Her cousin by marriage, she said, I just got out of jail. Teresa, have you checked on her? I said, no, why? She said, I seen her Friday and she was detoxing so bad it looked like a Parkinson's disease patient. I said, what? She said, yeah, Parkinson's. She said she could not stop jumping and just all over. So now this is Monday, so I'm thinking, okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. She's been jerking that bad since Friday, today's Monday. So when Tessa messaged me and I seen, she said, Mom, I'm going to die in here. Mom, please, I swear, then a period, my brain's gonna be, then you can't tell what the word says. It's just all garbled up, I believe. Van and maybe, I think Rosemary, I believe, has seen these terrible messages that were so sad and heart-rendering. And I thought, my God, they've not given her nothing. I keep calling down there. I called Dusty Langley on Monday. I like Dusty, we go back a long way. I have no problem with Dusty. I said, he didn't return my call. Actually, I texted him, he didn't return it. I texted Jimmy Davis while he was at his conference earlier in the week. He didn't return any of my messages. Then I called and talked to Amy Langley, who is the assistant, of course, to Jimmy, my understanding secretary, whatever. And I said, Amy, I need someone that I trust to go put their eyes on Tessa. Please, will you please personally go look at her? I don't think she's okay. I think she's seizing. She sent me messages that continued saying something about seizures. Please go check on her. Well, she said, either I will or I'll have Miss Snow, I don't know if she's remarried, but Miss Snow, I'll have her go check, nothing else. I said, okay, Amy, but today, okay? She said, okay. By 4 o'clock, no one had called me back. It was on Tuesday now. So I called back down there and I said, Amy, did anybody check on Tess? She said, well, didn't Miss Snow call you? I said, no. She said, well, Teresa, she's gone for the day now. Oh, okay. She's been detoxing and seizing at least 7 or 8 days now. So I need to know. I guess maybe somebody just needs to set me up a little visit with her so I can lay my eyes on her myself because I need to know she's okay. No, nothing happened. So then Dusty calls me, finally, Tuesday evening. He said, I went over and checked on her. She's a little shaky. He said, but I think she's going to be okay. I said, okay. All right, I trust you, Dusty. Wednesday comes. She has court that morning. Now, what I'm fixing to tell you is what she's told me, and only the camera footage is going to say, yes, this is the 100% truth, or it was almost exactly like this. But I'm filing a complaint tomorrow to get the cameras. I've already called and put them on notice yesterday, Jimmy Davis and I and Dusty, all in one group message, that I wanted the camera footage flagged, tagged, and frozen for that time frame that she stepped in the doors, where the medicine was sitting, where she could get to it, all the way through her 10 at least days of detoxing severely on the ground, and then also to this event. Wednesday morning she was scheduled for court over this $100,000 deal now, okay?
They come over to pick her up, or to tell her, Tessa, get up, let's go to court. She couldn't. The nurse was sitting in there with her, holding Tessa's hand. And she kept saying, Tessa, you gotta get up. No, you got court this morning, get up. And Tessa kept saying, shaking and jerking and saying, I can't stop seizing, my legs won't work. Please, don't you understand? My legs won't work, please don't. Big, tall, 6'2" jailer comes over there. This is what I'm gonna watch for really close on these cameras. From what Tessa tells me, he picks her up by the shoulders after he screams, get up, King. And she says, please, you don't understand, my legs won't work. I've been seizing all these days, I can't, I keep going into seizures, they're drawn up, they won't work. He grabs her by her shoulders. 4'10", 90-pound girl, 6'2" at least officer. Turns her around, is my understanding. Holds her up here. And she said, please don't let me go, I'll fall, my legs aren't working. She blacked out because apparently he dropped her. She has a concussion. She is sick. She is bad, bad sick. So I called down there at about 4 o'clock that day, not knowing this had happened that morning. And I called down there and I said, you know what, nobody's let me know anything. I need to know that Tess is okay. You all have her at that kiosk in 15 minutes and I'll be down. I want to see her face to face. I'm not getting anywhere. The lady says, well, if she's available, we'll make sure she's there. I said, if she's available, she's incarcerated. How could she not be available? Well, let me have someone call you back. Okay. Dusty calls me back 10 minutes later. Takes him about a minute or so to tell me that she's been taken to the ER. I said, and you all wouldn't let me know? What happened? Well, you know, she was really pretty shaky. We just wanted to get her checked out. I just trumped the nurse. And I just went ahead and told the nurse, I just think she should probably be checked out. So I'm going to go ahead and take her, let's get her looked at. So I have this gut feeling it's worse than what I'm hearing. So I go to a little conference with my boys, grandsons, and afterwards he told me.
Where is she now?
She is with us. I have bailed her out and she is safe with us after 2 more hospital visits. She spent 48 hours in the hospital under their care. I asked Dusty that evening, I said, I've not been able to see her all week, nothing's been done, I want you to see her in the hospital. And I know it's against the law for me to walk in there without permission since she's an inmate. I need your permission because I Googled it and you yourself or Jimmy can give me permission just to see her. He said, okay, let me make a call. He did, called me back, my guard will meet you at the door, 10, 15 minutes will be fine. I said, that's good, Dusty, I appreciate it. I go in, little did I know that 6'2" guard was the one that was greeting me was the one that dropped her. Took me back to see her. When I walked in, Tessa was first jerking her arm so hard because they had chained her really tight to the bed. And she didn't understand because she was seizing so hard and because she was jerking like a Parkinson's patient and she was hallucinating so bad she was reaching with one hand trying to grab stuff out of the air. But when I walked in and I seen her jerking, my first thought was, my Lord, why is she acting like that? That's not nice. I'm going to scold her just a little bit. And I said, Tess. When I said that, she jumped out of her skin, looked at me, laid back on the bed with her eyes wide open, spooked, didn't really recognize me for a minute. The doctor came in later. She introduced me as her. That's my sister. She's not an Alzheimer's patient. She's a recovering drug addict that I love. It's my daughter. Be 40 this year. So 2 days they kept her. I put on Facebook what happened. I didn't know that she'd been dropped. Nobody told me she'd been dropped. Nobody told me she had a concussion. No, she's just in here for seizure disorder and to finish her detox. The hospital did not tell me. The hospital did not tell Tessa. My understanding is that the city of Lenore City gave the hospital that property. Am I correct on that? Does anybody know?
Fort Loudon?
Yes.
Loudon County.
Okay, so the county gave it to her, gave the property to the jail. I'm sorry,
Not
gave
for
the
the
property
jail.
to the hospital.
Covenant Health.
Yes, to Covenant Health. That's awesome. That is wonderful. It's a good little hospital. I usually like it. So I'm gonna try to make this as fast as I can. So what happened next was, I get to stay about an hour because the doctor kept saying, don't leave. The nurse kept saying that, Miss King, I need you here. She cannot coherently answer our questions correctly. We need you to tell us every medicine she's on and milligrams the best you can. They was able to access some things from Walgreens and I filled in the difference. And Tessa jerking and shaking and uncontrollable motions and movements and erratic talk and behavior. And so I was able to stay about an hour and observe and try to rub her shoulders and things to give her a little solace. So the next morning I called and asked the doctor. I told the nurse, I said, I need to speak to the either nurse or doctor, just give me an update. Is my daughter improved any from the detox and the seizures? Because still I'm thinking that's what it was. And they said, well, he's in with patients and he's the only one who can talk to you right now, but we'll have him call. See, you tell him I said it's a matter of life or death. I need to talk to him. So 30 minutes later, he called me back. I said, I just found out that Loudon County Jail has come down there and demanded that you release her by 2 o'clock today. They're not doctors, but you are. And I want to know if you're going to release her. If she needs to be released, release her. If you're not, if you don't need to release her, don't. If you do, do. But don't listen to them or let them push you around and say she needs to be back to jail by 2. He said, Miss King, we're running a lot more tests. I don't know when they'll all be back, but I will have one of my nurses call you and give you an update. I said, okay. Nothing. 4 o'clock that afternoon, I call out the hospital, what's going on with my daughter? The nurses try to look, everything's flagged. Tessa, there's no Tessa King in there, nothing. All the information is gone. You following me so far? Everything's gone.
She back at jail now?
No, she's not.
She's with you,
Yes,
but
she's
from
with
the
me.
hospital, she go back to the jail?
Yes, she went to, okay, so she went back to the, well, let me finish with the doctor thing. So nobody now is giving me information, nor can anybody find out information, and no doctors are calling me back. So the next day, I message Jimmy Davis and I tell him, Jimmy, I need to see my daughter. Things are not okay. They don't keep them 48 hours for no good reason. If she's still in there, I need to go see her. He said, okay, let me call and make that happen for you. I said, great. He called me 5 minutes later. He said, hey, they just getting ready to release her. She'll be back down here at the jail just shortly. He said, when she gets back, you all make your phone calls and that way you can talk to your girl. I said, okay, sounds good to me. I'm thinking, yay, she's on the mend. So I wait a little while. I call and I say, I need to speak to Tessa King, please, to the lady, the guard. She said, well, maybe in a little while, or this, and this. I said, no, I need to speak to my daughter. You have her call me. There's money on the phones. She said, well, let me go. I said, Jimmy Davis and Dusty already has approved this. She said, okay, let me go tell her. Tessa comes to the phone with a shaking, trembling voice, and she said, Mom, she said, I'm so sick still. My head is pounding and I don't know why. And Mom, I feel like I'm dying and they already trying to change up my medicine, Mom, and I've been detoxing so hard. And if they change my medicine, Mom, I'm going to go into detox again. I said, okay, who's best bonds lady? Put on Facebook, who's best bondsman? Immediately, within 30, 45 minutes of that, we had her out of there. The bondsman worked with us on the financial part. Had her out of there, brought her home. That evening, she kept going. She kept falling over, couldn't keep her head up. Her eyes were tiny, teeny, tiny little pupils. She couldn't stand up because her knees kept giving out. I kept saying, well, honey, what is? She said, Mom, my legs have just cramped so bad I can't sit up or stand myself up hardly without falling. Now look over and she'd be asleep again, sleep again, sleep again. No medicine except just a teensy bit of what we've been giving her, or they've been giving her at the hospital. So, late that night, I put on Facebook to my nurse friends, what is the signs of a concussion? Because see, we still did not know she had a concussion. And thank God I did. A nurse friend of mine in hospice, she said, I sent her a video of Tessa laying on the floor beside the bed because her legs would not allow her to climb up in the bed. So instead she sat down on the floor, lay down on the carpet, and was asleep in a very sore-like position. And I didn't want to wake her up, but I was concerned she was labor breathing. And I sent a 2-minute video to my nurse hospice friend, and I said, Carrie, is this normal? Count her breaths in this 2-minute video. She watched it, she messaged back, she said, Teresa, she said, no, it's not normal, she's not okay. They said, check her eyes. I pulled her eyelid up, teensy tiny little bitty pupils in the dark and in the light. I would put her in the dark, flash a quick light, and they never did dilate. They was never to get big. Made her get up,
Tess, wake up. Come on, Tess, wake up. What, Mom? What? I'm hurting too bad. Please don't get me up. I get her up, take her back to the hospital. And they take her straight back for a CAT scan again. And the doctor says, well, was she not here just a day or two ago? Did we not just release her? I said, she got released this morning. Okay. He said, so what's changed? I said, what's changed is I can't keep her awake and she can't stand up straight. I need to know what's going on with her. This is not detox. This is not normal. He said, well, we just got CAT scan back because as soon as we walked in, they took her back for a CAT scan, and he came in when it was done. He said, nothing's changed since her last CAT scan. He said, she just had, there's some sinus stuff up here going on, but nothing's changed. But he didn't go on to tell me that she had a concussion on the first one, but nothing had changed. So he says, we're going to give her a couple bags of fluid and we're going to send her home. He said, you follow up with her primary care physician on Tuesday and let her see how she's doing, just see how she's doing then. And so they ran 2 or 3 bags of fluid and then came back in. He said, I'm getting ready to get you some discharge papers. And he said, just follow up. And I stood up off her bed and I threw my hands up and I said, she was in here for 48 hours, released this morning, brought her in tonight with more severe symptoms. She's not hallucinating as much anymore. She's not erratic and this and that as much anymore. But something has really digressed. She's not doing well. So you're going to tell me there's nothing that the first CAT scan didn't show, which was sinus stuff. Okay. So then I looked at him and I said, you know what, I'm really blessed. I said, Tim Burchin's office messaged me. I said, her name is Elaine, his secretary, she's awesome. I said, she likes our program, they like our program. And they know the situation about how she's been treated in the jail. And I said, so they reached out to me this morning on Friday, Saturday, whatever it was, and I said, they just saying, hey, we think about tests or whatever. The man's eyes, he just, what? I mean, he just looked at me like, oh my. And I said, you know our state representative, Lowell Russell, he's a good man and he's a good friend of mine. I said, he even sent me a little emoji this morning on praying hands saying praying for Tess. He stood there froze for about a minute, turned around, walked out that door, and then he went, got some paperwork, brought it to me, and I'm thinking it's just discharge papers. It's not just discharge papers. It is, he said she has post-concussion syndrome. How'd you feel if that was your kid? I want an oversight committee over this jail. I want somebody to oversee what goes on in that jail. The abuse and the abuse of power in that jail has been bad for years. It was bad when it was under prior administration. The abuse, the neglect, the stories, I've heard hundreds of them. If you hear hundreds of them, you better bet a lot of them are going to be true. And I know not a one of you have to nod your head yes, no, or maybe, but every one of you, I think, knows that that stuff goes on down there in this jail. Broken hands, broken this, broken that. This young lady back here, not only was she denied her insulin, which could have killed her, diabetic, left, had to go to emergency OR. She had a broken hand while she was in here. She accidentally did it herself. She said they didn't do it, but they knew it was injured very, very bad. And they said, you just have to deal with it till you get out of here. It's not okay. A lot of other people's messaged me under this administration right now. And again, I like Jimmy and I like Dusty. As a person, I like them men, but I don't like what they're letting go in that jail. I've got a multitude of women and men that's come to me in the last couple of years to tell me what goes on and how they have been brutalized, how they get stomped on occasionally, how they're denied their medicine, how the guards will stand around and laugh at them when they're in full-blown detox, vomiting, diarrhea, trembling, seizures. These things are not okay, and this is against the law. The American Disabilities Act is totally the opposite of what they're doing. The Department of Justice is coming down on a lot of jails right now because of mistreatment of these people. And tomorrow I'm supposed to go to Jimmy and Dusty, and I'm supposed to file a complaint just to be able to see the footages of Tessa and what really happened. But then there's no telling how long that's going to take to get. I need some guidance here. Hey, I work for a nonprofit. I make $22,000 a year. My husband works for the city, makes $20 an hour after 25 years. Lenore City, that's how good they pay them, but boy, they sure don't care to pay us, you being everybody else, wages through the roof. That's okay, God's taking care of us, but I said that to say, I've got a few people to back us up, and I need a civil attorney, and I need a criminal attorney, but I also need this commission to help me fight this because it's not okay. I want justice, and moving forward, I want to be an advocate, and I want you all to advocate with me for these people in there. I don't care if it's insulin,
I don't care if it is blood pressure medicine. I don't care if it's a detoxing young lady, like this tax-paying, productive young lady sitting back here with a couple children, working hard, raising her kids on her own. She only spent a few days in there, and she said, I'll never go back again. My God, the way that I got treated, no. This needs to be looked into. It needs to be investigated. I know that you all fund Loudon County. I've been talking with people who come into jails, and they provide medical assistance to people who are detoxing hard, or people who are either subscribe these things that I have said to you, the Suboxone and things like that, or people who just need insulin, whatever. And they'll come into jails and they will assist and train them and teach them and show them how to do it. I have been on Facebook and I've implored, please bring drug court into this county instead of letting that rotating door continue. They won't, because that is paying the parole officers, it's paying the detectives, it's paying our sheriff, it's paying all these people all the way down to the smallest and whatever. And our folks down there, my kids, your grandkids, whoever is being neglected and abused.
I'm sorry for what you've gone through, but I will tell you this, tomorrow on YouTube, the tape of your presentation will be on the YouTube channel, and I would suggest you bring that with them. Buddy, make sure Jimmy and Dusty sit down and listen to this lady.
And they've heard it all from me because we've had multiple messages back and forth. And I knew that this was going to be recorded, so I did not care to choose my words, how they came out, because what I say is the truth. And that's why I want to see how she was handled by this man, and if it happened the way that it happened, and how long she lay there in detox with no help. That's complete neglect and cruel. So I will close with this. I do implore you to please make a difference in this community for addiction, the homeless, and the vets. That is some of the biggest that's the worst thing ever, is not letting these folks get some help. Mental health is a real deal, and that's why we treat our ladies through mental health services, and that's why we have such a high success rate. But anyway, I thank you for listening to me. I know I was long and lengthy, but I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
That concludes public comments. I'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll continue on and finish up the meeting.
Is Steph mayor? Is Steph?
Yeah. Be right back here.
Go ahead. I'll tell you what, that's a story.
What's it there, Holland? I don't. Here comes Club tomorrow.
It's like, the devil might have purpose. Thank you. No problem.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. What are you doing? You get back from Wisconsin? Back for a short time. Okay. What do you need? I understand.
Take some beans.
I got a shot. Holism for sissies, kid.
That's right. I'll let you know when I get there, Henry.
Well, I'm there.
Hey, you're gonna have to let me know tomorrow. This is a long night. How are you? All right. I see you over there. How are you? Good to see you.
I am.
Getting along pretty well? We'll see how, still unfolding. We'll see, so we're trying to alleviate several problems at once.
Yeah.
What's that? No, not at all.
Just in a room today.
John just texted me, he's still there. I'm glad John made it home with his mom
So that's where we should take some. Yeah. We need a long term. You know, when we
No, I'm not, I've got to listen. That's, I don't know, I can't say.
His name was Spicy.
Alright, as long as you're okay.
I've talked to her throughout this.
Alright. Alright. Okay. Let's round them up. Come on, Adam.
I'm coming, come on.
Well, in our city, they won't.
Aaron? Well, we can group together like 1 to 5, 1 and 2 and the rest. Okay.
So they have
Just explain, all right.
but a sergeant.
We'll get this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's.
What?
I'm sure. Oh my gosh, I didn't go to Oakland. You're real close to
Do you need to sign it? I need to sign it. Why don't you sign it? Send it to me as well. I'll sign it.
Well, that's fine.
I understand. I wouldn't doubt it. Normally wouldn't let it go that long.
That's fine, yeah.
All right. We got everybody back?
Nope, Adam just left. I don't know why he left so everybody else got back.
You don't like us.
All right.
Time to bring out the candy.
You need some? So then we'll get.
Okay.
You want some? Candy.
Okay, Adam. Okay, we're gonna go back in order. Mayor Bradshaw and Commissioner Quillen, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, before we do the proclamation, leadership Loudon's here tonight, Mr. Chairman. They both were.
Did we run them off?
Excitement, but, those that are here are welcome.
Thank you for coming.
We're sorry.
No, that's fine. They got a good taste of what this is like. So, thank you for welcoming us. And yes, most of them did have to leave, but a couple of them have stayed.
Jeremy Dishner, we wanted to recognize Jeremy. Evan Williams.
But, thank you. And, the ones who didn't make it, there are 5 who were not able to come, they'll come another night. But they'll have this.
Thank you for coming. Okay.
And I think the proclamation itself is in the packet.
Yes.
So, Mr. Cook, if you want to, we'll go up. Hold this up. Photo op. Basically, y'all might as well sign it.
Let's do it. Yes.
Come on, let's
We're
go.
doing now?
Yeah, we'll go around.
It's 10 after 8, guys. Pictures are not necessary.
Yes, they are.
Get your picture in there.
Come on. Let's come down there.
Y'all might as well slide in here.
Come on.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We went through this 2 weeks ago. Come on, get your
Not with
picture.
this banner.
I'm doing it just on.
Go do it, go do it.
We'll stand up
I'm going right here.
You do it right there, we'll stand
Right
right
here.
here.
Y'all just stay right there.
Just scoot over.
You can sit here.
No, just stay right there.
Maybe.
Blocking them now.
Oh, wait. Can you see everybody?
Ready?
Yes, I can see everybody. Okay. Let me just get a couple, just in case. Yes.
Okay, and in case you're wondering, this stay in school did not apply to Van Shaver or Tony Akins, as you can see from the Nichols School,
Oh, I like that.
1970-71.
That's in Shaver Town, I think, isn't it?
Be my request that the commission would pass this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the mayor's proclamation, resolution proclamation.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Shaver to approve the proclamation, seconded by Commissioner Quillen. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Shaver.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My first item is the EDA resolution I passed out 2 weeks ago, I think. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at it. It has nothing to do with our withdrawal position. It has nothing to do with the financial support position. What it is about, I might even say I was a little bit prophetic with it. What it's about is when there's a conflict arises between the city governments and the county government. At Commissioner Randolph's ad hoc EDA committee meeting, one of the points that was brought up numerous times was had we communicated our concerns to the board. Mr. Qualls doesn't work for Loudon County. That's a correct statement. He works for the board. So we should communicate our concerns to the board. If you read this resolution, what you'll see is that it says if conflict arises between the cities and the county, our expectation would that the EDA and the president or whoever would default toward the county, since we are the vast majority funding of that. Somebody somewhere tonight has mentioned something about why we do this resolution if we're pulling out. That's 2 years from now. We can see a lot of damage to Loudon County in 2 years if things continue to go like they were. So hopefully everybody's got a copy. You've had a chance to read it. I'm going to put that in the form of a motion that we send it to the EDA board. And I think our mayor is the chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Morrison. To send a resolution to the EDA board.
Ms. Quillen?
Any further
add?
discussion?
Yeah, and I'm just kind of unsettled with this whole thing. I've read it a million times, and there's things in it I like, there's things I don't like. But I know when our committee met, one of the things that we had talked about was that a representative from the EDA come to our commission meetings and keep us updated on major developments. So if we could add that in there, and like I said, there's some things I would change in this. And I apologize, the last 2 weeks kind of been a blur for me with my dad and everything, but that's one thing I think is missing out of this. So I don't know if we want to add that or.
Quarterly or monthly? Quarterly. Somebody said they meet quarterly
Meet quarterly.
after the meeting. To update somebody, again, is the chairman. He could do it. Mr.
Yeah.
Qualls could do it. Anybody. We don't know anything other than
Right.
we're here after the fact.
It's no communication.
I don't have a bit of problem with adding the request updates after their quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the resolution a little bit, Commissioner, just, I'm not sure that we've given the ad hoc committee enough time to have a meeting. They've had one meeting, I'd like to see a couple more meetings instead of just continuing to add and add and add. Let's see if we can come up with some kind of resolution, and if there's just no resolution, then we have to protect the county. But I think we need to give this committee a little bit of time to work, and that's the only thing.
But now this doesn't have anything to do with what the committee's meeting
I
about.
understand.
Then what is the result of our committee? Are we sending some new resolution from our committee, or?
I didn't call for your committee. I don't
Yeah.
know what your goal is. I was hoping, I think what everybody's been hoping the whole time is that we could get this financial split settled.
I don't think that's gonna change, though.
It can.
I don't think it will. I mean, from our meeting, I don't think anybody is gung ho to give us any more money and us take less, so.
My understanding is the resolution wouldn't hold no ground unless all three entities were to agree on it.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the three entities. This would be coming from Loudon County, not from the other three entities.
I mean, it's not law, it's just a resolution.
It's not a lot. It's
Just
it's
a
a
resolution.
it's doing what John Carter will ask for, communicating to the board. That was, I think, one of his main things. We have never communicated to the board our concerns. This communicates to the board our concerns. Are they obliged, confined? They have to do anything? No. It's the county commission saying, here's what we'd like for the board to consider.
Is there anything else that needs to be added from our committee meeting that you can think of?
I mean, the main thing was the communication,
Yeah.
and that's something that I think we can actually, gain some ground on. The rest seems out of reach.
I agree.
So based on your first and only one meeting, are you comfortable with this resolution as it reads today?
Maybe we should table it and let us report back at the next workshop about the meeting that we had and see if we can move forward.
You know, I don't wanna keep hashing and hashing and hashing. I think we need to come up with, I agree with you, we need to come up with something. I'm just not there with that resolution,
Well,
me personally.
it's like, the formula is laid out for us, the percentages that everybody has to pay. I mean, and we would have to.
Let me stop one second. This has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the formula, the money, the percentages. This is about responsibility of the EDA to
Okay.
the cities and the county. I wanna make that real clear. This is outside the scope of your all's committee. I mean, this doesn't address that in any shape, form, or fashion.
Okay, so we've got a committee working on one thing and then we're doing something with this. So we're not all jobbing together, right?
It's two different things. It's two entirely different things. It's,
Okay.
the committee's working on someday, hopefully, a financial split that's amicable. This is asking, as long as we're in the EDA, 2 years, 10 years, 100 years, that under the current split, the county would always take precedent over the cities. And of course, what we're referring to, all these latest ones, this annexation thing in Hotchkiss Valley, where the EDA, Jack Qualls, was working his tail off to try to get that 400 acres moved into the city. We knew nothing. He was here, we told him we opposed it, and apparently that didn't mean anything.
I do think was speaking to the city of Loudon that they're not going forward with that. And
I'm glad to hear
don't
that.
have intentions to, so.
I sat down with the developer, and I don't think so. I think that's probably dead in the water.
That's good. And a lot of people in Hotchkiss Valley would be happy to hear that. If you all wanna hold this till you have another meeting, I don't have a big fight with that. Even though we're not doing what we were asked to do, communicate with the board. But if y'all wanna hold this, table it till, after you have your next meeting, I don't have a problem with it.
Let's give them a better opportunity to come communicate with us before.
You're the chairman of the committee. If that's what you wanna do, that's what I'll do.
Let's do that.
So, Mr. Chairman, just pull that one back for now.
We'll pull that one back. Okay.
For now.
For now.
I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, my next one is the one that's been the most conversation about tonight, and that's removing Ms. Hunter from the Public Records and Solid Waste Commission. I have no desire whatsoever to be derogatory, to be mean, to talk bad about anybody. We have a lot of boards, commissions, and committees that have very important jobs that have to get done. And it's our responsibility to make sure they're able to get those jobs done. Some people can help, some people can hurt. All that said, I'm gonna make a motion that Ms. Hunter be removed from the Solid Waste Commission and the Public Records Commission.
I'll second. Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner James, to remove Pat Hunter from the Solid Waste and Public Records Commission.
By the TCA code of 68-11-905 that Ms. Ross said give us, are we even legal and able to do that?
Sure.
No.
We did it a year ago.
I'll ask Buddy, are we legal to do that?
I'm not an attorney by no means. It happened a year ago. I'm not a lawyer.
Nobody
I'm
complained a
not
year
gonna
ago.
claim to be, I'm not gonna pretend to be a lawyer.
Do you support and letting her go?
There is no way.
Would it be your recommendation?
This is a commission action that happened whenever it happened, a year, 18 months ago, that I was not involved in, and it's commission action tonight.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner James, All in favor of removing Pat Hunter from the Solid Waste and Public Records Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
2.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got on my part of the agenda.
What was the vote?
7-2.
7-2. Motion carries. All right. That's it.
I'm done.
Aaron?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For letter A, it's consideration of recommendation to approve ARPA fund resolutions as follows. $10,000 to Greenback Youth Sports from ARPA, $5,000 from District 3, Commissioner Satterfield, $5,000 from District 4, Commissioner Whitfield. This is the second reading.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. We got a motion to approve by Commissioner Whitfield, seconded by Commissioner Waller.
This is just for one only?
You want to do them all, or?
We've already got a motion second. Let's go ahead and
Well,
get
that's,
things
this is for
done.
item one only.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, it's a roll call vote. Call the roll, Tammy.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Satterfield, Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph.
Yes.
Number
Can we do the next 2 through 5 together, or do you need these all done separately?
They can be done together.
I make a motion, we do items 2 through 5.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Randolph, seconded by Commissioner Shaver to do 2 through 5. Any further discussion? Call the roll, Tammy.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Whitfield,
Aye.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Amy, can I ask who the second was on the very first one?
Myself.
Thank you.
Sorry. You spoke faster than I could.
Letter B is consideration of recommendation to approve issuance of debt in the amount of $3 million for the new school to be used for design. There was a resolution included in the packet.
Budget committee approved. I'll make a motion, we approve this one.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield to approve the issuance of debt in the amount of $3 million for the new school design. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of those that are here and that it's not already 8:20 and I won't belabor it long, this is the ongoing process of building the new school.
Yep.
This hasn't built anything. This is drawing plans. This is paperwork. We're gonna have millions of dollars in this thing before the first shovel of dirt is turned over. That's all this part of it is right now, is more of the, is it schematic now, or are we down to the real drawings? Which ones are we?
We're still in schematic, we need to do design development, construction documents, that's what this thing.
Design, development, construction documents. So that's what this one is, media, that way people kind of have a clear understanding.
Not just the new school, but all the projects.
All the projects, that's right. There's CT classes at Loudon High School, there's 10 classroom addition at Philadelphia, and the new school,
Yes.
and possibly a Greenback additional auxiliary gymnasium or something like that, is that right? And stadium repairs, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote, Tammy.
Quillen,
No.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins.
No, due to the, I've been hearing lots of comments of people wanting discussion about what type of school being built.
The school board meeting Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
School board meeting Thursday night, y'all attend that.
Did it carry 7-2?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Letter C is consideration of recommendation to approve the following grants.
Can you do them all at once?
Absolutely.
All of them are no match, came from budget, approved. I'll make a motion, approve 1 and 2.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver to approve the two grants, 1 and 2, seconded by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, while they're talking about it, 1 through 7 came through the budget committee. Most of them are line item adjustments. There's nothing big in any of them unless they correct me. Budget committee, Gary, Henry, it was all just the monthly type stuff. I'll make a motion we approve 1 through 7.
You got one that you can't.
Hang on, I got a finger up.
2 fingers up. That ain't the right.
Which finger? Come on, man.
So, on number.
Take my motion back.
Just did.
On number 6, in General Capital Projects Fund 171, this was an amendment to approve, expenses for a camera system and internet upgrade at the sheriff's department, but it has now been told that they need an extra $100. So this amount has changed from workshop to now. And now the new amount is $77,470. And this, is to be funded from the jail bond. So that's the change from workshop to now.
That one by itself, or you got something else?
We just didn't want to accuse of sliding anything by anybody.
Gary? Mr. Chairman, on number 6, I'm gonna make a motion, we approve the new amount. Aaron had communicated that to us, and, so we were aware that the extra $100 on a $77,000 project. I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver to approve the extra $100, seconded by Commissioner Quillen.
Alright, is this for all of them and the 100 or just 6?
This is just 6.
Just 6.
Just 6,
Okay,
cause you give me the finger.
any further discussion?
Wait a sec, so this is for items what? 1?
6.
Just number 6.
Just
Just
number 6.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Tammy, call the roll.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye.
Okay, now we can do,
Now, Mr. Chairman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. I'm gonna make a motion, we approve those. Already through the budget committee, no biggies of any kind. I'll put that in form of a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver to approve 1 through 5 and 7, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield. Any further discussion? Tammy, call the roll.
Cullen,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Shaver,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Randolph,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Quillen. Aye. Whitfield.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Was, Rosemary, were you still the second on when he made?
On number 6?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Rosemary's
just
on
making
number
sure.
6, Gary's on.
Okay, I just,
Group.
that's what I wrote down, I just wanted to
I
make sure.
got
I was
it.
right.
Shaver and Quillen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and letter E is distribution of monthly reports. Those reports were included in the packet that Ms. Swampler uploaded online on the website.
Okay. Got it?
That's all.
Okay, Commissioner Waller.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bonded notaries listed under 6A.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Waller, seconded by Commissioner Morrison to approve the bonds and notaries. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.